Welcome everyone, I'm Jeffrey Goodman, Director of Marketing and Development for the YMCA of Northwest Louisiana, and we're here at 318 Latino Studios for Shreveport-Bossier, my city, my community, my home. And I can't wait to have today's discussion. Our special guest is Deidra Lewis-Robertson.
Yeah, that's me. Hi.
Deidra, great to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
Excited to visit with you and to learn more about your world. So if I get anything wrong, like I told you, please set me straight.
Will do.
You are an integral part of Community Renewal International as the Director of Friendship House and Director of Operation H.O.P.E, which stands for Helping Our Pupils Excel.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So let's start here today. I believe there are currently 10 friendship houses in Shreveport-Bossier.
Yes, there are.
So my first question for you is, what are these friendship houses, and what types of programs in general do they offer?
So a friendship house is a neighborhood safe haven, hub of hope. It's a place where kids and neighbors, we are just not servicing kids. It's also for neighbors as well. And so it's a place where our neighbors and our friends can come and hang out. They can use computers. Now, for our students, of course, the after-school program is very important. So our kids come and they learn life skills, they learn social skills, they learn civic engagement skills. We give those kids, we don't focus so much on academics. We know that academics are important, but this is a space where we get to equip them with so many more skills that our kids need to thrive in society. And so it's a home, friendship house. It's a home, so the coordinators live there and they are able to create a space that feels like home. A lot of our kids don't necessarily know what home feels like, and so we work hard to make sure our space reflects a healthy home. And so kids come every day and they get a healthy meal, they get love, they get a lesson, and so we hope that they leave better than they came.
And these are open typically 5 days a week, 7 days a week?
So we have club, which is what we call it for our after school program, Monday through Thursday, typically between the hours of 3 and 7 o'clock. Some of the houses service elementary students, and some of the houses service middle and high school. So based on the time that they're getting out of school, that's going to determine what time club is open. But we are open for other activities throughout the day and throughout the weekend. We have Haven House meetings, which is where our neighbors come together and discuss what's going on their block. This is how, we really connect with our neighbors, and people come together and talk about, neighborhood issues and reach out to their city councilman. People unite there and things happen and change in the friendship house. So while we do club in the afternoons, the places are going pretty regularly with activities all the time.
And you have things, if I'm not mistaken, like computers in the friendship houses. Yes. For communities and for neighbors to use. You have printers.
Yes.
You have internet. Mm-hmm. Service. Mm-hmm. And other types of communal services available for the neighborhood.
Absolutely. Our goal is to eliminate barriers. There are a lot of things, everybody can't get to some of these locations. A lot of things are very expensive. People can't afford it. And so we try to bring resources right to the neighborhood. Therefore, transportation is not a barrier. Finances are not a barrier. If you can get to the driveway, you can begin to change your life just by coming to the Friendship House, because it's a wealth of not only resources, but it's a wealth of networks. We build healthy relationships throughout the community, throughout the nation. And so people are going to come into a totally different network that you probably wouldn't even have access to for whatever the reason. There are many reasons, but when you enter a friendship house, you enter a staff that's connected on a deeper level to the city. So we're able to serve our people in various ways.
And just talk to me a little bit about the process by which Community Renewal determines where to place a friendship house.
So, in most cases, it's going to be a high crime, high poverty area. Those areas need the most intense work. All of the neighborhoods need work, but those areas need the most intense work. And so the community coordinators are trained in trauma. They know how to be trauma responsive. They're trained in civic engagement. They're trained in different things because those areas just need different things. They have a higher level of needs. Their needs vary from other neighborhoods, but that's typically how we go about choosing a location where a neighborhood would be. One of the key things is you have to know is we don't just choose a location. Neighbors, friends, people say, hey, we would like to have a friendship house here because we don't want the image that we're coming in to save the neighborhood or fix their problems. That's not our goal. Our goal is to come in and work with the community, work with the neighbors, and begin to just, see the neighbors rise through the power of the relationships that we've built. But we're typically going to be high crime, high poverty neighborhoods.
And come in from a bottom up approach instead of a top down.
Exactly. Grassroots approach. Begin to get to know those indigenous leaders that are already doing the work.
And, man, I totally lost my thought for a second. Tell me just orient me a little bit. Where are the 10 friendship houses today that exist in the Shreveport-Bossier area?
Okay, so right now we have 2 houses in Allendale, Barksdale Annex in Bossier, which is formerly known as Jack's Quarters. We have 2 in Cedar Grove. We have 2 in Highland. We have 1 in MLK and 2 in Queensboro.
Okay. All right. So I pulled a quote from you. You once said the following. You said, the call had to go beyond just going to church every Sunday.
Whoa, you went deep.
So your husband, Eric, and you made a significant sacrifice by relocating your family to a less safe area of Highland so that you could run the Friendship House in Highland. So talk to me about that relocation process and some of what your husband, children, and you went through or still go through as a result of making that significant transition.
Okay, so I have been raised in church and been in church all my life, all right? And so I knew that I had to find purpose in my work. That's been deeply ingrained in me. And so when I started working for Community Renewal, my husband and I had just had our first child. My husband was a truck driver, and I mean, it was just the oddest time to take a job at 15 hours because they were only paying me for 15 hours while I was working 30. They were paying me for 15 hours to work Operation H.O.P.E. But I could just, working with those teenagers, people always talk about teenagers. I loved working with teenagers. Teenagers are the next ones up. They're going to be, up running society. So I just really, really love that. And so I remember coming home saying to my husband, we lived in Highland, but we lived in more of the historic part of Highland, okay? A little bit quieter over there. And I remember coming home to my husband saying, hey, I want to move, on the other side of Highland and begin to serve in the Friendship House. And he was like, what? I don't know that we want to do that, but he trusts his wife. He knew that this was something I was very passionate about. And so we did it. We just took the plunge. My son was very young at the time. He was only like 2 years old. So it wasn't a huge transition for him. He's very young. All he remembers is going from the little house to the big house. Is how he refers to it even now. So it was a pretty good transition. It wasn't a whole lot, that we really had to go to because God had prepared us for the work. You know what I mean? And God had prepared my husband to support me from what we were doing. God had prepared me for the work. And so it was really a pretty good fit. Like we kind of mailed it right on in. The people who were there before, Luke and Brittany Lee, she and I were very cool, and she had talked to me a lot and really, really helped guide me into the role. So it was a pretty good transition.
And that happened, we were talking before we started, that happened a little bit before COVID.
A little right before COVID.
So you've been there close to 6 years now.
Yep, I've been in that house for close to 6 years. Of course, it was totally different during COVID. You had to really make adjustments then. But yes, I have been a resident of Highland for years. But on that particular side, about 6 years. Yeah.
And what kind of wisdom do you have to offer or advice for people who kind of feel like you felt, which is, I'm not sure I'm doing my part, or I want to do more, or I'm going to church once, twice, 3 times a week, but I still don't feel like I'm doing everything that I was put here to do.
For me, faith without works is dead. And so I know that, going to church was great, and I have been taught by some great pastors throughout my life, but I felt very strongly that once they had given me the knowledge, they were calling and equipping me and sending me out to go do the work, And so I felt strongly about working with youth. There were people who were instrumental in my life in helping me become who I was, who invested in me. as a little girl from MLK growing up in a single parent home. And so I know that was vital, because without those people, while my mom worked hard, my mom didn't get a college degree. So that was not something that my mom could guide me into. And so the people that I came across in my life that could guide me into those decisions, and who saw things in me that I didn't see in myself, it was the people. And so I knew deeply, inherently within me, that God was calling me to be those people also for children coming up in Shreveport. And this is my city. This is the city that made me who I am. And I feel very strongly about being here and serving here. Bloom where I'm planted. Those who want to move away, I think is great. I think it's wonderful. Whatever works for you. But for me, it works to bloom here. And I want to see others bloom here. So I'm going to do the work here to make that happen.
Love it. Well, as I mentioned earlier, you're the Director of Operation H.O.P.E.
Kind of. So we kind of recently had a transition with the Operation H.O.P.E. thing, but yes, I've been that director for the past few years.
So for folks listening, just demystify Operation H.O.P.E. a little bit. Tell me about the program and some of the important work it does.
Okay. So Operation H.O.P.E. The Friendship House, one of the blessings of the Friendship House is that our students start at kindergarten, okay? And so if you can get a student to commit and their parents are committed and they love the Friendship House, that means our students are staying with us all the way through the 12th grade. That separates Community Renewal from any other after-school program, because we have had all of these years to have a consistent presence in these children's lives. So what we were finding is once these kids got to high school, especially if the parent didn't necessarily have the skills to navigate, to guide them into life after high school, Operation H.O.P.E. was built from that. This was the effort to say, hey, let's help our high school students starting at age 14. Let's begin to really be intentional about focusing on life after high school. And so that means if JJ says, hey, I want to be an astronaut, but he's not really, really good at math, then maybe we want to guide JJ maybe into another path that he may like, Maybe if this person is not really strong academically, and I have seen case after case, success story after success story of kids who did not necessarily thrive in the traditional school system, but they had a great work ethic. They were very disciplined. They were very respectful. They were very polite. And so as a result of Operation H.O.P.E., they got to visit different jobs and visit college campuses and see, is this university life for me? Maybe not. But is this welding thing or is this electrician thing for me? Absolutely. And so that's what Operation H.O.P.E. is. It gets with our students at the age of 14. Let's begin to seriously assess what you're going to do after high school. And it's so much deeper than academics, because sometimes there's a culture of not leaving your home, just kind of staying at mom's house or just kind of navigating into life. I'm just going to get a job. And you want them to be much more purpose-driven, much more intentional about their future. And so Operation H.O.P.E. is the effort at helping guide them into a purpose-driven life after high school, that they can take care of themselves, take care of their families, and so that's what Operation H.O.P.E. is.
And is it ingrained inside the Friendship House?
Absolutely. If you are a student that's committed to the Friendship House, once you reach that age of 14, you are now in Operation H.O.P.E.
Okay.
Much more intentional effort, because now it's going to start teaching them about responsibility and accountability. So we have partnerships with different banks, and we have partnerships with different organizations that really start to teach them those adult skills that they're going to need to be successful. So you have to put them in a separate program because it's much more intentional. It's a little harder, requires a lot more commitment. They're having to get up on Saturday morning sometime and ACT boot camp and stuff like that. So it's much more responsibility for Operation H.O.P.E. Yeah.
So important. Mm-hmm. All right, so sometimes people think it's the sole responsibility of our school system to be our village and to ensure that our kids get all they need to become responsible, productive adults. My question for you is, and this isn't a simple question, but hang in there with me. How do you see the role of schools?
Okay.
What can they do and what should they do? And what are the gaps that programs like yours need to fill?
Oh, wow. So I love teachers. I'm team teachers. I believe in the simplest form, it's their role to teach. Whatever their role is to be, whether they're reading or math, I really think teachers should just be called to teach. Now, I know that students come now with so many issues, and it's really hard to just teach. But I really believe that the communal effort should be so much stronger than what it is. I really believe that community efforts, like organizations like Community Renewal, should really be in there to kind of fill the gaps and support schools. There are so many organizations across Shreveport-Bossier, across this nation, that I know that, I don't have the perfect answer, but I know that there can be. We work to support our schools. We Care Schools, if you ever heard of it,
Absolutely.
We have feeder schools where our kids come from, where our people are going on Tuesdays and Thursdays and volunteering and being a presence. It makes a huge difference for our staff to show up just to volunteer in the cafeteria and their kid see their coordinator. It builds a system of accountability. Teachers really appreciate it, and sometimes you can't get parents, you can get the coordinator, so teachers really appreciate helping bring a sense of accountability to the students. I really feel like the community should be there to support students, teachers a lot more than what they are. And so I really feel like Community Renewal does a good job at being present at our schools.
And so, just make sure I'm hearing this. In your mind, kind of, schools are a piece of the village.
A piece.
They're a piece,
exactly. They're a piece.
And an ideal village has a lot of pieces that are all working together and filling different gaps.
Exactly. Exactly. But I think a lot of schools need to be stronger. I'm going to say, I didn't really go to school in my neighborhood. Hardly ever. I was always bussed out of my neighborhood. Now, again, another conversation for another day. But I think all schools should be strong. You know what I mean? I believe in neighborhood schools. I wish that some of our students that were super ultra talented could get just what they needed right in our neighborhood schools. That's not necessarily a factor. That's a deeper issue there. But, I really believe the community could take a greater effort in changing that. Really.
Well, Deidra, those are my set questions for you today.
Okay.
You have done such important, incredible work in this community. Are there other things, we have all the time in the world, are there other things that you want to get into or share or mention? I know you have a special event tonight. I don't know if you want to talk about that, but anything that's going on in your world that you want to share, by all means, please.
So I would want to say, first of all, the power of relationships. I think sometimes Community Renewal gets a bad rap, or we're kind of misconceived because people don't really understand that. And it's like, oh, what's this, relationship concept? I believe so much in being proactive. I've worked at other nonprofits throughout this city, and they're great. I'm not saying that they're not great, but I've stayed with Community Renewal for so long because this is the first nonprofit and strategy that I've ever really come across that was proactive in sowing seeds for tomorrow. Most of them are reactive. I'm homeless, so now let's fix this issue. I'm trapped in addiction, so now let's fix this issue. This nonprofit works hard to prevent those issues from ever manifesting. And I just believe that more should be invested in relational work. So the power of relationships are very important. And I just wish that people would really, in these times where we are, we can't beat everybody over the head with our political stick or our religious stick, but you and I can sit on this couch and say, man, we really like cheesecake, huh? Or how do you like your pancakes? We can get together on common ground before we ever begin to delve into things that are divisive, and I just feel like if we really start to focus more on what we have in common, we can really change Shreveport for the nation. We can really begin to show people that, hey, we are divided politically, but we still love each other and we still work together to make our community better because we want our community to be better, not just us, And Community Renewal emphasizes that. And so when people say, oh, well, I don't understand it, oh, it doesn't make sense, I really want people to get past these reactive strategies. I know it's great to feed homeless people, and Lord knows I'm not saying don't. But how about we begin to invest a little bit more on the front end, and maybe we can prevent homelessness from being such an issue 10, 15, 20 years from now. And so I think that's very important. And so I also want to say,
please,
the mosaic dinner that we have coming up tonight is going to be, it's a beautiful thing. We have brought an anthropologist in, Marlon Hall, and he's been here for 2 days, and he's taken 2 doors that he's found around the city, and he's been in the art shop turning these doors into tables. There's a lot of symbolism behind making a doorway a table, and we're all going to sit around that table tonight and fellowship and eat under guided conversation. And that's an effort that we're going to be doing here in this city. And we hope that more people will begin to join us and come to sit around the table and just begin to build relationships with people.
And this is your first Mosaic dinner?
This is our first
tonight?
Mosaic dinner
and
tonight.
It'll be held?
It's at the Andrews Building tonight. It's staff only. But going forward, we're going to be sending out invitations to invite people to come, sit around the table, build community with us. You won't know who's going to be at the table, so you're going to be coming to meet new people. So I hope that more people will see the beauty in it and join us.
Yeah, I love that idea of the door to table. I've never even heard that.
Yeah, you're going to be on our invite list next time.
I would love, please. I'll be there.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, yeah, that's what I would like to say.
Okay. Well, loved having you. Love hearing more about all the important work you're doing. I think it's incredible, and I'm so appreciative of the amazing sacrifice that Eric and you and your entire family are making for our community.
We love it. We wouldn't change it. We have inherited new kids from it. I have so many bonus babies now, and I just believe that. What does the Bible say? The quiver that's full of arrows or something. Children are like arrows to the quiver. I believe that. I believe that children are a blessing, whether they are biologically mine or not. And we have gained so many children that see us as mom and dad or mentor. And I'm thankful for that, and we're blessed for that.
Thank you.
Thank you.